This is greetings. This is Silly Kelly of the Cat Location Cats, and this is the after show of Alt Transformers Mush. I'm assuming Adamacon will be the weekend of May the 4th, but that's a couple of days before the second COVID shot. So if it is, it'll be just before that. But the other Adamacon, like last year. So we have May the 4th be with you. This is the after show of the if you want your MP4 versions of the whole series, including trailers and making of, for free, we haven't worked out yet, but yeah, it's up, and you can have that. Well, I don't know why I would do it this way, but that's the way we do it, right? This is how we do it. Yeah. I've been doing this Clint Cowpoke thing since the beginning, really. I looked at some older stuff back in the day, since literally the beginning. Yeah, this character is sort of Sean McKnight from '84, kind of, from Pine Hill. If he was still around, that's basically what he is. Oh, anyway, so yeah, basically. But yeah, we have the Jetfire here on the set. Jetfire. And Megatron. Hello to you, Megatron. Megatron, Galvatron, you're the best. It's gonna get real steamy in here, these two. For free. Look it up on YouTube for free. I don't think we have as many ads because we don't have AdSense. And we'll have some of the other personalities in here that I will cut to when I do their scenes. So here is Kelly's take on what we did so far. A little over a year ago, we began production on a little over a year ago on an adaptation of the 7-part Corrosion War Without End, the Rob Powers story, in the runabout room, and yeah, it was an interesting experience doing that with the relatives living in this room up here, which was completely different back then. We renovated it. So then about halfway through the series, they left, and they were part of the SAP cast, and they left. So we had to go in here, and they weren't putting any of their stuff on YouTube, though, that I know of. They don't do that anymore, but we stayed with it. We're obsessed with putting our stuff up. And so we stayed, and here we are. And so we put up our fan films and things like that on our channels, hundreds of them. And even though not a lot of subscribers, we get a lot of subscriptions. And we've had 20,000 views on one channel and something like that. 10,000 views on the other one. Chimera is probably like 5,000. It's not as many. The Chimera channel. This is the whole thing. So far been interesting. The Adamacon, Cat. The set right in the light, looking right at Clint Cowpoke, back of his head. So we did it. That's a wrap. We did it. Wrap. Yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, we dedicated the last episode to rappers, just to be weird, because in the '90s there was an awful lot of movies that did that. So we did it. But also we did it because it was DMX. We didn't really know him, but one of his songs was very popular. The Rebel song. But yeah, he was he died during production. Not coincidence, he was not in it. Shubalov and Cowpoke did that song. It had nothing to do with him. Shubalov had a cameo. He was off to his other gigs. He was doing a show somewhere else, you see. dropped in. That's why Blaster's not in it, the finale. But I played Blaster in the one before, so he wasn't in that one either, I don't think. Yeah, so, yeah, so, yeah, the doing a fan film of that caliber, doing a 7-part, 1 hour each, roughly 45 minutes to 50 minute each, 60 minute each episode, 7 of those as a miniseries, led to doing more of them. Led to the first season is 17 episodes, so another 10 of them, and then second season was 11 episodes, 11 of them. The last one we've just completed were three 50-minute segments, the length of Starship Chimera, and completed that in 9 days of filming. And what took us with Chimera 13 years took us 9 days. That's way quicker because it was just us. And it wasn't just that; it was that there was time to do that. There was a pandemic; no one else was there. We could film the whole thing. We'd gotten up to a point where we could do a 2-hour thing, a 2-hour movie essentially in 9 days, and then put it together in another 6 or 7. It did take a little while longer because it was doubled up. It would have been like 13 days, roughly, all together. So 3 years to days. Yeah, so yeah, it was interesting. It was different. It was yeah. Just want to be the floating head in the background here, but the yeah, it was fun. The experience thing. I really don't have much more on that one. It was yeah. I directed a couple episodes. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm not looking at Kelly, but you're supposed to be with it. That's all right. Yeah, because it's not going to go back and forth. So here we have, it's kind of like a vlog. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I directed some episodes, produced a few. Oh yeah, I did some of the Space Bridge too back in the day. Clint Cowpoke. Yes, I was responsible for the clip show, the only clip footage from Trans 2 getting on YouTube. I released a upload of, because no one else did it on YouTube, of Optimus Prime getting burned by Galvatron and Six Shot. And I redid all of the dialogue in there. So and that's the most popular clip show on that one, for clip shows on that one channel, is the Burn Optimus Prime. Burned Prime. Decepticon Director, Burn Prime. Blurred Lines parody. Yeah. Of course, Blurred Lines was basically, the beat was stolen from Marvin Gaye, from Gotta Get It Up. Kind of in the same way that One Direction stole Summer Lovin', and turned it into that one about you don't know you're beautiful. Same beat. They just stole it from. Actually, most of their lyrics is just cribbed off of Grease or somewhere else. They changed lyrics. Anyways, let's talk about Transformers. Produced them. Shelley Kelly is, of course, Ed Amicon, kind of the same guy. All of this started years ago with something called Trans, which was done in the other room back there. The first Transformer, short for Transformers. Not very original, yeah. In the 80s, and we had teenagers, didn't know what we were doing. Me and Mark's Cards at the time. He came on board with actual making episodes as John Crapper, and then as Mark's Cards later on. Mark's Cards is really interesting. Anyway, yes.
Not John Tron. That's someone else. No, not that guy. It's a coincidence. Yeah, this is before the internet. This is in the 80s when that was done. 86 to the 90s, 90, 91. Then there was Generation 2, 1992, Galactic Guardians, Generation 2 thing, in which case it really was not a big deal. And then it was really not as good, and it was very dark and sort of like, and that's about, now we've gone over all that before. So that's about when they started up with the other stuff, the Robotech, Robotech was going on. I know we've been all that before, but the MUSH, all Transformers MUSH, started in the early 90s on the internet. The bulletin board chat rooms using university servers because they had the most powerful bandwidth. And they would use the university servers from all over the country, and they would go there and write Transformers fanfic, and a lot of it was slashy, shipping stuff. That really didn't make it into this, really. It was not slashy. It was a little slashy, but PG-13 slashy. Like, this person over there had a bad experience with, they were accosted. Oh, yeah, and then stuff happened to them, but the bad guy got it in the end. Yeah, that kind of thing. Or these two guys were gay, but yeah, they were there, but they worked it out. They're still gay. They're still friends. That kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of thing. So yeah, there were several. Well, the Ginsburg, the judge lady, died during production earlier. Also, a character from the church died, Bree Shull. She was not part of this in any way, nor would she know about it. But there was a character that was going to appear on the show and be killed off and then be rejuvenated as an alien, a robot. And it was supposed to be named Meg, and she was a character from the comics. She was one of the offspring of McCloud, Buster McCloud. And so we decided, or she was a version of Buster McCloud, actually. So we decided that that's the daughter of Buster McCloud, and that she was in the story. Which is kind of cool. We also had Marissa Fairborn show up. We did correct that in the story. It was supposed to be, we said it was Carly in the story. Realized, no, it can't be. It's Marissa Fairborn again. So we just clipped out the part where she said her name. Marissa Fairborn showed up. We don't see Spike and Carly in the last episode. There wasn't room for them. And there wasn't room for Jenna and Dan Witwicky either in the last one. But in the previous one, they were in that one. They're kind of the end of their story arc, really, in the previous one. Because they basically, she probably broke up with him right after, claiming she was, well, she didn't, it's a character in the story, no relation to the Jenna Shull, of course, the sister of the girl. There's no relation. There was a Jenna in the comics and story books. Different name, different, spelled different. Jennifer, different. But kind of an inspiration by. So it was like, it's kind of that person's kind of not. And it's with Daniel Witwicky story. It was probably the author of the original episode putting themselves in it. Is that often the case all season? The Mary Sue. That's probably what it was. And I think in the case of the Valentine episode, they were definitely going with that. Definitely going with the idea that the T.L. Aaron's character had a girl that he liked, but she didn't like him. So the secret admirer thing is typical of that kind of thing. And that is the case. I know that episode, we looked that up. It's on Lexicon, and that episode was discussed. And yes, Mr. Aarons said, yeah, that's what happened. It was a smitten lover thing. And he wrote a sequel. Yeah, he did write a sequel. He put it on his blog. He had a sophisticated one, though. It's like a more modern one, and you can't download any files from it. It won't let you copy and paste. So he's got it set up so you can read them, you just can't do anything with them. Which is interesting, because all the other websites, you can totally cut and paste. But it's got a cookie set up there. So you can look at them, but you can't download them. And the sequel would have been very similar to the Carter thing anyway, with the invasion of the Earth and all that. It would have been very similar to what was actually done, because he read Carter, obviously. Dun, 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 dun. Well, yeah. So we're not going to intercut these at all, really. I mean, you could. You could intercut them just to be weird. But the topics are all different, so randomly. I mean, yeah, so you don't really have to. Rambly. This is sort of an after show. It's not really an after party. There's nothing partying here. We have, any threads we left behind, I guess. Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know how the Shaw family feels about Transformers, if at all. Probably not. As long as the girl is it's evident that this was strictly a platonic cast member thing where we decided it would be cool, let's just include an homage. That's fine. But there was nothing, it was completely, she was one of the coaches, it was completely platonic. So, yeah, it wasn't anything. Kitty Key is not literally, anything other than, what he is. There's nothing weird going on. So, it's not like that Gates guy. Ew, gross. No, this person was like in her early 20 years old. But no, there was nothing like that. What was the other? Oh, yeah, you wanted to know some other questions. Let's see. It was the episode about shockwave rape inspired by it? No. The shockwave rape thing was part of an episode. It was a thread they were doing amongst themselves. They had Bon Lean and Carruthers and some of the guys and some of the girls. They were writing this weird thread where they made some of the Decepticons like evil, lecherous men, similar to the Wonder Woman director, actually, lady. So we went there. Said, let's follow that thread. Let's do that, like they did. How close were we? Well, we were close to that, but there was nothing really actual here. No, it's all somebody else's story, and we adapted it. Nothing there. Okay, let's just. I like to answer questions. So, probably ask, are we flamingly liberal commies? No, we're quite centrist. Mark's cards is left-leaning. I'd say he's Democrat, left-leaning. I'd say I'm centrist, but fiscally conservative, old school Reagan conservative, but story-wise, family values-wise, left-leaning, centrist, basically. Not libertarian. That would be my sister. Not libertarian. So yeah. Reagan era, I don't know why in high school that impacted me so much. I don't know. I guess because he just sounded kind of like McCoy. And actually, Ronald Reagan and DeForest Kelley were in a cowboy movie together. So there you go. So was William Shatner. Spock. And I think Leonard Nimoy had a movie with him too. So yeah, it's something. So yeah, we did a new version of the story, as though we were 16 again on the set, and we could just do this thing, because why not? A lot of those bloggers that probably my age, they went on to go to college and that kind of thing. They had this site they called the Alt Transformers MUSH, or Alt Transformers Fan Fiction, and they just went with it. The fan fiction one evolved into something else called TF 2005 TF Boards. It's still around. The other one disappeared. We got copies of these off of a disc in 2001. They were downloaded in HTML format, and they were readable. So we read these about 101 episodes, ranging from short stories, about maybe 2 or 3 pages long, to hundreds of pages. The first season was basically all the long ones, with the exception of, we did not do Transformers versus Aliens. We're not going to do that. And we did not do Transformers versus the Deep Space Nine. We did not do that one. That would have been dumb. And we did not do, the third one was Transformers versus Lord of the Flies. That was just a little weird. So I kept referencing it in there, going like, how would it be for the Lord of the Flies? So in the beginning of this story, we have, did a Resident Evil / Lord of the Flies / thing. What would really happen in real life thing. So the Resident Evil movies, they would always start with, oh, we just set up last movie, so it would be impossible for them to get out of this. And then in 2 minutes to 10 minutes, they get out of it immediately. Like, no problem. A basic trope of serial movies in the 30s, actually. So we had like 1930. So we had like, we did that joke. We had like, okay, the evil Sith guy, the destiny. He brings up the 4 children of the apocalypse through Rakshi, which is kind of rape. It's kind of sleazy, but you don't see it. They just imply it. But her 4 evil children are so evil that apparently the evilest one of the 4 of them kills all of the other through suggestion. And when we open the new story, she's all like, oh, all my friends, my siblings are dead. I killed them all because I would. Because, yeah. And then they're all like, oh my God. So she's Kali, the goddess of death. And she runs around in the story. Well, it's not really a goddess. She's more of a robot. She doesn't have any powers. But apparently she, by suggestion, wiped out her entire army of sure, why not? Dark. Yeah, so Rob Powers was one of the more prolific writers that did stuff. Douglas Muth was also did a lot of the stuff and has the archive. Powers and Muth have the current, or have a lot of some of the current archive, well, semi-current archives out there of their stuff from the MUSH that they saved and brought into the present day. A lot of Trans and Trans 2 and Card of the Return, all from the 80s and 90s. A lot of that also was on there, but the archivists don't really have those anymore. They have pieces of them, and they have other people's takes on them. So a lot of what All Transformers MUSH was seemed a lot like our stuff because they liked it, and they were like, we're going to do our version of their stuff. So, and then we're going to come full circle. We said, all right, we're going to take your guys' stuff. It was your version of what we're doing. And we're going to adapt it into animated Go Motion comics episodes of this. And we're going to call it Alt Transformers MUSH because it doesn't exist anymore. Because we couldn't call it TF 2005, that exists. We couldn't call it Cybertron with an S. We couldn't call it TF T-Formers or any number of, we couldn't call it IMGO, obviously. We don't know him. But people like IMGO did do the Dinobot Andraxis thing, which was cool. They adapted the Andraxis Dinobot thing, which was awesome as a similar Go Motion comic. Some other people have since done action figure toy comics as well, having seen some of our stuff. So even though we don't have a lot of subscribers to subscribe to the channel, we do have an awful lot of people that have seen Cowpoke and Kat on the internet and have seen the stories and the fan films, and they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Well, we can do it right now while we do our thing. And some of them have done elaborate stop motion. It's way better than ours. But yeah, we didn't want to take another 12 years to do it. We wanted to do it in a year. So, and we had 60-some episodes to choose from, and whittled it down to roughly 27, and with some of those being short stories and whatever. 26, 27, somewhere around there. We got 17 here and 28 episodes. Yeah, well, if you count Carter and together. And the last 2, which we had to direct, were basically rewrites of the Trans 2, and Carta sagas. All 3 of them done as a 3-part story. You can kind of tell where they break and they go into the next one. We even got to do a rap version of, we can F the gods, which they got changed to we can kill the gods. This fake god guy shows up. And of course, in the 2020s version of that, it wouldn't be so much them going on like for 10 minutes in the ethereal plane talking to the spooky god guy. It was like less than 6 minutes, and they realized he was a fraud immediately because it's the present day, and they wouldn't really, you know how it is. Oh boy. Oh, anyway, so that was my take on that one. I'm gonna bring in some other guys in there that I talk about. They're directing their episodes, and what they thought of doing things on the set of this being sort of a return to form thingy. After show. We didn't do an after show. It ended like a week ago or more, and we compiled in sets. So here it is. So this is mine. Then I'm going to go to the other. You're not going to craft them together. You're just going to go to the next one. Oh yeah. There's a Miles Opinus. Was also a cowpoke name back in the day. And they might. Some of them might say out there, well, did you actually kill Draconus? Or is he just a demigod? Well, actually, they did not kill the gay. He's a Brigade. That's the kind of a phrase they have now. They didn't really kill him or Max's Carta. They sort of like advanced them forward, so they're like a Q now. And that one guy's like in the Wrath Planet. He's got a version of himself in there. He's hanging out, so he's not really dead. Yeah, he's a demigod now. So that's not burying the gays. That's making the gays on an omnipotent space being. Magical. Turning them into a magical being through space and time. So, yeah, Robotech, Macross, stuff like that. A lot of Robotech stuff. Played Max Sterling. Played him like Trip Tucker from Star Trek because Rick Hunter sounds like Cat. It didn't really work. If Max Sterling also sounded like Cat. Poor Cam Clark. Anyway. But yeah, so I gave him a bit of an accent. Made him sound a little bit like he was from Florida or Georgia. Which is a little different than Texas. Cowpoke's not from Texas, he's just pretending. He's a cowboy in terms of Hollywood. Hollyweird cowboy. I'm told that Kat was actually in a commercial. And I've seen it. The commercial for the Stretchy Tacky Warrior. That's definitely him. Definitely him. Absolutely. Oh yeah. That was like what? Oh, okay. Anyway, so that was in the 80s. I guess that was the 90s for that one. The 80s was the G.I. Joe one. Yeah. So, David. Yeah. Nephew from Valley Christian. So we have, that was a long time ago. And there is a version Pine Hill still exists. But it's not the same anymore. It's not even Andover anymore. It's Bronham Road. It's not the same place anymore. It's been like 30 years. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how they're going to put any of that out, Starship Locations. But let's, talk about Transformers. I'm trying to get back to the subject here. The Transformers doing these bizarre things where you got the robots and they're it's always slashy, but it's never really like offensive. We have being characters doing their thing. These adaptations of these stories, these were the best of them. Would have been just one season, but then and then we had the 3 Beast Wars ones, and we're like, you know what, we could almost do more of these. We could do the ones that relate to that Skies of Destiny short story that you guys made. Tried to submit, didn't work. Let's do those. So the Skies of Destiny became the next two, wrapped into the blanket of the other 2 stories, other couple of stories that were other fan stories, Jung and Waterford and some of the others. And, Davidson and Muth and
powers again. Yeah, so, yeah, as for the characters responding, it was a little, just to clarify, some of those were actually trolls that were responding that hadn't actually been those people. So, yeah, we thought they were, but they were just pretending they were, which kind of goes with the cowboy thing. That one lady was not actually Ivy Bunley. That was somebody else. That was apparently a friend of hers. Had to chime in about the Ivy Bunley story. Wasn't her. But Powers was Powers. Jung was Jung. But yeah. But then yeah. Somebody complained that and these were mainly on the Google thing, the Google thing, or the not in the comments, but in the PMs and stuff. And we don't need to show you those. One of them was annoyed that it was too right wing, too left wing, and also one of them really, really desperately wanted to do Matt Cross, Do You Remember Love? They wrote this big dissertation. I want to do it, guys need to do You Remember Love? And we've been referring to that all this season, over off and on, with no intent to ever do anything with it, including in the last episode having Ray Foker from this timeline, who didn't die but dies in this timeline, having him show up and go, "Hey, I'm Ray Foker." Yeah, in the Do You Remember Love Veritech? There's your, yeah, because we couldn't do that justice. It would not have worked. Or the other ones either. The GoBots. He had the GoBots. Yeah. So Draconis was Turbo as a GoBot, and of course Unicronus was Psykill from the GoBots. They had reformatted into Transformers. Maximals lead to them eventually. Lead to the Maximal. So everything, all the timeline is corrected by them, even though they were different people. So the timeline of Beast Wars does happen. It's all makes sense. It's not that convoluted. Bath Masterson thing or something. But yeah, I did not. Yes. Somebody wants me to find the Three Ninjas scene where Cat is. The VHS, I'm not sure if it's in the DVD, but on the VHS, there's a scene where they filmed the movie at the ranch on Mount Herman. On the other side of the ranch, there was a Jung Swan martial arts retreat campground on the other side of the mountain. That's basically the Herman Roaring Campsite. It is near the Roaring Campsite on that side. It used to be. It was a ranch, and you could drive up 17 and go there. And that's where the black belt training was, in the 2000s. And so they had, but in this movie was about 8 years before that. They had 8 or 9 years before that, in the mid-90s. I think it was 92 or 93, they happened to have Jung Swan and Ernie Ray's West Coast, which were doing Ninja Turtles and Ninja Turtles 2. They had finished those. And they're all like, we're going to do this smaller ninja movie called Three Ninjas. And they happen to know the Grandmaster, so Ernie Reyes Jr. and Ernie Reyes come over. Ernie Reyes Jr. is a kid at that point. Well, yeah, so was I. But, but yeah, late teens, early 20s. Early 20s. Yeah, I was also in my early 20s. So we come in, and he's all like, and we're going to film at the Grandmaster's retreat. And how'd you like to be in the background of this one of our movies? I said, it was a Ninja Turtles. No, it wasn't Ninja Turtles, but it was something. Well, of course. So okay, what you guys are going to do, you're going to have a bunch of you guys sparring in the background. Some of you will have bow staffs and some not. Some of you will have punching gloves and whatnot. And we'll have the scene, and it'll be in the background, doing sparring and making noise, and we'll dub that out later. So you're going to pretend to make noise. So we did this. We went up to the retreat. We did this retreat day to shoot this movie.
at the time, not knowing what movie it was going to be, but it was going to be out in the summer. and where's this movie? There's a bunch of little kids in karate outfits out there, and they were filming a movie, and they're out there, and they shot the movie. There was directors and everything, and they were in the background. We had to put on uniforms that were not marked, so it looked like it was the school from the Three Ninjas, and they had the little belts and things. I didn't get the belt. I do have the new belt though. I did get the Ronin belt. It matches now. Yeah, but the uniform's too small. Oh well. I have a newer uniform from later on, so I'll wear that with the Ronin belt for Halloween. Didn't get around to it this year, but this year I'll have to wear it this year. The Ronin belt will make me a 5th degree karate expert. I'm not really a karate, so 5th degree, but I have a 4th degree one that shows me as the pet cat do master. Jung Swan was only 2nd degree. Black belt out. I was an instructor toward the end there. But this movie, anyway, we did this movie shoot. We did like silent sparring. We did the sparring thing and we got it finished in like in a day. And they were like, oh yeah, this is going to be a movie in the summer. And summer rolls around and there's 3 Ninjas. There's a movie with these little blonde kids and stuff in it. So, like, oh. Okay, that's what it was. Went to the theater, watched 3 Ninjas. There it is. There we are. Right in the background. Unmarked uniforms going in the background. In a motion picture. Not credited. In a motion picture. That's awesome. Yes. We're in 3 Ninjas. And apparently, the Toy Galaxy discovered a commercial just recently, a couple of weeks ago. They aired a lot of these old commercial things that went on. I remember during the years of Pine Hill High School, there were several attempts to get Bay Area kids, which kind of seemed a little weird at the time, but Bay Area young people to appear in commercial. Of course, we wanted to be in them. One of my nephews ended up in a G.I. Joe. I wanted to be in the G.I. Joe one. No. You have to, him and his buddy are going to be in that one. And then 2 or 3 other commercials came up, and I wasn't in those. And they kept rolling around. And by the time they got to the 90s, there was like not much of a roll call anymore, but I still was there. There was this Tacky Stretchy Warriors commercial thing came up during the other drama class thing. Oh, you want to be in can you still play a teenager? Around the same time period as the other, actually, that ninja movie. Maybe it was going to air during the TV broadcast. Sure, Tacky Stretchy Warriors. I can still play a teenager. It was, yeah, I figured, Luke Perry can do it and he's 26. I can do it when I'm 23, right? I'll play like I'm 12. It'll work. Put on the shirt. A little Izod shirt. Great tan Izod shirt. Sure. Yeah, uncredited. But I think at one point I did meet someone called Leo. He was a douche. Well, a goof. He was a goof. Yes. But then, later on, Titanic, yeah, he went off, became a star. But yes. But yes, I did not. No. A failed child star. Kat is a failed child star. Like a tacky commercial. That was it. You were done. Get out of Hollywood. It's because I made fun of Saturday Night Live on my radio show all the time. On my radio broadcast. They knew, even though they weren't going out to the world, they were just going out to the park, the neighborhood. Throughout my window open, everybody could hear it. But they knew. It wasn't aliens. Anyway, any other questions? Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, since you talked about how all times that Star Trek has been similar to your stuff. Oh yeah, all the time. Transformers. What about Transformers stuff? We discussed a little bit of that earlier. This time around, the time weapons and stuff like that. If you like the time travel. Yeah, it's like sometimes we say in our science fiction stories we don't like time travel is a deal breaker. The original City That Time Forgot, or the pseudonym MC Kim, was all time travel and Starscream going through different time periods to try and take over. So in the joke version, this one we had to tell the story in an hour, not in 2 hours, and we had to get through it. That was the last act. Literally, we're down to the wire. Last act. Starscream tries to get the time divorce thing working. He can't, because Megatron and Skyfire stop it. He's trying for it. And then Skyfire jumps forward. He goes into time travel. And we see the different time periods after all the events happen. We get to see some of the other time periods he went to. So that ending scene that goes on for another 10 minutes after... Really, he's there for the destruction of the evil world president guy. Ex-world president guy. He's there for the Robotech scene. He's there for the Galvatron return scene. And yeah, so he sees all of those. And his future, where he sees Primal Prime returning, but into a different future than his other future. The time has changed around him, and he gets there, and they realize, oh, where's what's her face? What happened to Melee? Yeah. Back to 2051, and they have Melee show up. He's seeing all this. Jetfire's seeing it. It was a little surreal and a little Terrence Malick, but that's what's happening in the last act. It's really 2051, but he's seeing all these different timelines popping up from history into the future. So he's seeing things like a seer. He's become like a, and it's probably also Draconis that's seeing them too, because he's on the planet as well. And yeah, so that's it. It's not really that convoluted. It really isn't. Okay. Another question. Oh yeah, so am I, kid, so am I. What's that? That's the origin of Clint Cowpoke, or one of them. One of the origins of Clint Cowpoke. There was a movie called Unforgiven, as Clint Eastwood. In the 90s, same time period. We should write about the 90s. Okay, we are going to write about. We have written about the 90s, but I'm not sure how to publish that. We'd have to change things. But there was an old story in an old job club in 2012 where the blog got online, and it probably shouldn't have been there for access, but people were looking at breaking into private journals. So this blog entry had said, made a quote. Two guys were talking about violent sex. That's what it said. They were talking about violent sex on the playground. Apparently, because it was on a playground job club, it was considered taboo, and also considered wrong to put that in a journal. However, they were talking about 50 Shades of Grey. So in some ways, we're making fun of that kind of thing throughout these series as well, by saying, okay, these fan stories that have this intimate bent are for fun, and never meant to be serious, and that wasn't either. If they'd known that it was 50 Shades of Grey that was spoofing, the people in charge of that wouldn't have gotten mad. They would have buried the story and said, like, oh, that's what you were talking about? You should have specified 50 Shades of Grey, because we were just talking about that. We didn't want anybody to know. That's why we told you not to do it. It's like, oh, okay. Well, it's not worth it, though. 50 Shades of Grey, it's not worth it to get fired from Job Club. It really isn't. I wasn't talking about it. They were talking about it. Oh, well. Anyway. But yeah. Well, technically I wasn't doing, yeah. I wasn't one of the teachers, so, yeah. The stupid thing came up again like 3 months later, where I was actually doing some work at a church retreat. Mentioned somebody brought it there, and the book, because it was really popular in 2012 and 2013. And all I said with that one was, like, it's not appropriate to bring that book on the retreat. Yeah. tend to get a little bit righteous after getting in trouble for mentioning something. So yeah, these stories were in that same way. These stories were not an attempt to get in trouble on YouTube, certainly, and we didn't. It was an attempt to show things that were different and unusual, and to show these 90s era stories up to the early 2000s in a new light, because they were good. So we wanted to put some of them out, some of the good ones, like Transitions and Corrosion of War Without End, and Lord and Commander the Andraxis and that kind of stuff. That Lord and Commander Andraxis 7 was so cool last year that we were like, oh, we have to film this. We have to put this in this season. It's that good. So we're going to film it. That person did comment. That actually was her. He said, oh, you adapted my story. Cool. Oh, yeah. We also had somebody comment on the Corrosion. It was Powers. He was all like, well, that's not what I would have done with Lexius, which you've renamed Maxis Carda or something. You renamed him Draconus Prime, but called him Lexius. He was called Lexius originally. He was a red jet. You could have used Scattershot. And well, I could have, but he didn't look as impressive, so I didn't. I thought it was cooler to have Draconus Prime. And when I saw Biker Pot Rod in the store, I had to have it. But I didn't get it initially. I waited until the show started and then got it. And we knew we were going to do the show. And I knew when I got the guy, I think that was Big Bad Toy Store that I got him. I knew that when I had him, Mark's Cards, and I had him right there, that this was going to be awesome, because this Biker Rodimus Prime Unicronus guy really would be the awesome, first officer on the ship. He's Riker, basically. It would just be ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, it was different, certainly. We even tackled issues and people having an experience of violation and that kind of thing. Sure, why not? Because which goes with that other thing earlier. It does go with that, because I guess there are people that do the S&M, and Shades of Grey is a bad example of that. It's really bad, because you wouldn't do that. If you did the S&M, you wouldn't do in Shades of Grey. That would be bad. I guess that would be bad. I don't really, just that's what they said on the internet and stuff. They wouldn't allow that to happen. So you have an episode that deals with rape. We did an episode where I had to do a PSA in the beginning saying that a robot mentions a robot was raped. Because for some reason they have gender in Transformers, even though Mark's Cards kind of said over and over again, they really don't. They really shouldn't. They should be androgynous, because really they reproduce asexually. They only sound like males because that's what we perceive. So some of them say, but the fans wanted to put their own spin on it, so they're all like, okay, they don't. Then it became a transgender thing, and a cisgender thing, and a trans thing, and it became an LGBTQ friendly thing, and it evolved and moved around and stuff. And your stories don't kill the gays, so we not to kill the gays. We didn't want to do that. So we kept mentioning that, so to make sure we were LGBT friendly and trans friendly. It's trans and Transformers. It's not the same thing, but yeah. So we ended up doing so this episode where this robot was raped and apparently had committed suicide, and she came back as another robot, actually. And it's ironically also, and it's kind of the same way. So you knew that was going to happen. You kind of knew that was going to happen. You're like, oh, that's how it's going to go. She was straight, though. She was straight. But yeah, it's kind of dark. Yeah, there were a lot of like death scenes, dark moments in there, because it was the 90s. It has a 90s feel, but it's 2020 and 2021 now. It's very appropriate because the pandemic happened. And that became a central theme in the stories. There was a space pandemic. space robot binary plague that had affected the robots and the humans in a similar way to the hate plague, except reversed, ambitious hate plague. So it was like the Wrath Planet. The Wrath Planet is where they found out about the space rape. Evil Shockwave in the other timeline. Because he has a gun for a dick, so like Megatron does. But Megatron's not interested in chick robots. He's interested in Starscream. So they're not, anyway, so chick robots. Although yes, we did think of Stranger Things before Stranger Things. I found the old file, but we'll get to I'll get to that first. Found the old Pine Hill file that had the episode. It was episode 2 of On Location, published in 1984, and it was called Stranger Things Are Happening. Very similar title in 1984. The Stranger Things TV show takes place in 1983, and the second season 84. That is really, really uncanny. The only way that could possibly be anything similar, besides the Mandela effect, is that the people writing Stranger Things attended Pine Hill. Man, that school just had a lot of people attending, including this Mike McMahon guy who showed up briefly. Mike McMahon, yep. Who knew? The guy that does Lower Decks. I mean, silly track, basically. He was a silly track guy. Yeah, so that's why we like silly track and Sheila V. Trek cards. I was like, no, I don't. But anyway, so that's Stranger Things thing. Okay, other what was it? Transformers? Yeah, a lot of that Transformer stuff is coincidence. No. I think definitely this all Transformers MUSH fan thing in the archive. Because there's a lexicon and there's 2 others, and there's their own personal ones like the MUSH one and the Muth one and the other ones. And I think they all impacted the Transformers lore directly, because there is, like, you look back at Dreamwave and IDW and these other ones doing kind of like the comic books. That's what we did with our motion comic series, the MUSH. It's pretty similar. They definitely were entrenched in the whole thing. Somewhere in the archives is my copy of the Transformer Shows Bible, which is as big as this thing that the camera is sitting on, with the pictures of Devastator and Motormaster. Couldn't find it, but it's there somewhere. Yeah, so we had that stuff. The Shows Bible. Yeah, it's pretty weird. And how the character bio was and all that. Yeah, it was probably a fan reproduction because it was from a convention. The show didn't give it to me, obviously. But yeah, we influenced Beast Wars and Beast Machines, which came later. Definitely Armada. They influenced Armada. They definitely Transformers Animated is basically the MUSH. The Robots in Disguise is over there. It's a little bit of the MUSH. Beast Wars 2, Beast Wars Neo in Japan. Headmasters and Victory and Master Force. All of those seem to be influenced by the MUSH. The Japanese version, so they as well. So yeah, they're all cross-pollinating each other until it became a big thing. Until Michael Bay directed some movies and made $1 billion on each one. So even though those movies are really bad, millions of dollars on it, he put Transformers on the map. Gotta give him that. It's now mainstream. If there's, eagerly awaiting another Transformer movie. The Netflix show is liked by most, generally, fans. But if you consider that, I consider it definitely, that it is a rewrite of this another fan who read the MUSH and read the comic books and stuff like that. And it's War with the War for Cybertron game is basically Corrosion of War Without End. It basically is. It's also the Gabriel Kwan one, the Genesis Fading. It's just a different version of it set in a different time period. But it's the same people. I mean, they even have Starscream looking like Lexius, who was Dragon's Prime in our version. It's absolutely Rob Power's story. It literally is. I hope he's getting some royalties for that, because it's his story.
That game and the sequel. Also, there's a little bit of Andraxis thrown in there. Why not? Yeah, in the Netflix show, they go to the realm planet thing and everything. That's right out of our stuff. Earthrise is literally right out of this series. So we knew a little. So we had to be careful not to during this whole thing. We knew a little bit about what they were going to do. The Wrath. So we have to be careful what we're doing with ours, so that even though I doubt anybody's going to notice, so we won't be confused with the Netflix series. We can't call ours War for Cybertron. We can call them Kingdom if we want to. So Kingdom Prime shows up. We can call it War for Cybertron Prime or something, but we can't literally have the War for Cybertron. So it just won't. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the Robotech stuff. We couldn't do you remember love and that kind of thing. Couldn't pay it homage. But yeah, we couldn't do it because it wouldn't have worked. Our motion comic is following those fan stories, and technically, the Carta saga, the Trans saga, predates the existence of the internet, and the '92 versions don't. So they're the ones we used. They were on the MUSH. They knew about us. They were inadvertently copying, not knowing it. And the people that were writing Beast Wars and Beast Machines were also copying it, didn't know it. And they were like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do your friend Jim DeCon's idea. Let's have the Decepticons win." And you're like, no, dude. Yeah, the Decepticons win the whole episode. It's gonna be kind of sad, dark. No, I want it to be that way. In the '90s, and they did. It didn't work so well. Beast Machines was not well liked. Yeah, Machine Wars, that was all right. But Beast Machines was in England. In the UK comic book, there's elements of that. I found another copy of the UK comic book from the second wave at our local comic shop, Open Legends, and I picked one up and I threw it. Yeah, this is pretty much our stuff. That's Wreckers. It has Nightbird, Warbirds, and all that. So yeah, anything else? Warbirds. Let's see. Oh shit. Oh yeah, the Warbirds. Yeah, that's from the comics. Warbirds is from the comic. Wreckers is from the comic. That's what it's just the comics. They weren't necessarily Nightingale and Lady Hawk. I think the guy just loved Lady Hawk, so he's like, "This would be great." Like, no, they were Nightingale, Nightbird, Silverhawk. I think they also like Silverhawk. Yeah, stuff like that. So, just the Warbirds. But I made them the Femmes, because that made sense. Yeah, so we did do some changes. There were some changes. Oh, yeah. I made a decision to change. Oh, yes, did we? To change the robots, yes. Getting them out of their bodies and whatever. Yeah. We're like, okay, we've made fun of Wonder Woman to death. 3 different episodes. This is Wonder Woman episode. Not because we're not feminists, because we are. We're feminists. But because they just completely blew it with that movie. That whole premise. Let's do this body swap thing. So finally we just said, okay, what if the Transformers take the next step and they're all like, okay, the humans in the exosuits decide for moral or possibly realistic reasons, we shouldn't be with the Transformers fighting with them in our exosuits. We should get out of our exosuits so we can be out there or not fight with them because obviously the exosuit thing, we're gonna get killed. So they get out of the exosuits. So they Chick-fil-A. But yes. So we have So there was these themes in there. Second season we did not really do any. Second season we didn't really go for those themes because we had run into 2 things. Well, first of all, somebody had made a Lord of the Flies in Space movie that just came out this is a couple of weeks ago. Apparently it's really bad. Is that if we even went there in another episode, they would confuse this. They would think we were spoofing that movie. Like if we did the Bobbleheads thing right away, they would think we're doing a bad Bobbleheads movie. No, if we do a Bobbleheads thing, ours is going to be cool. Ours is going to be awesome. But that could be later. But we'll see.
But no, we're not doing the Lord of the Flies thing. That's all it was Lord of the Flies with Transformers. You just took the dialogue and made it Bumblebee saying Piggy Wiggy or whatever. It's like, what? No, not doing that. So we have, and we're not doing Macross Do Remember Love. We're not doing Sentinels. If they did anything with Robotech in the future in the 2051 thing, it would be entirely different. Or timeline. Application is a timeline. So we have a bunch of stuff we were trying to come up near the ending with. Not really make any waves. And then Wonder Woman 1984 came out a few months ago. And a lot of the themes that we were putting in the story, apparently DC also to an extent. The Schneider Cut came out a couple of weeks ago. The Wonder Woman one came out a couple of months ago. Now it's on DVD. And they had this weird scene in that movie, well, a whole thread in the story, where Wonder Woman apparently wishes her old boyfriend into the body of this random dude, who's actually Gal Gadot's husband. That's actually who that is. So they sort of like winked around it like wink, which is kind of stupid. That's actually who that is. But they made it look like Wonder Woman accosts the guy, has sex with him as a boyfriend, but in the other guy's body. So, but it's a bait and switch thing. It's like in Revenge of the Nerds. It's like in Big. That's what that director said. Lady director said this, even though she's got all these themes in the story where I'm super feminist and I want to defeat the bad guy rapist dude that shows up like 5 times. You'd think after twice getting beat up he'd get the hint that he shouldn't be a bad guy rapist, but no. But no, it's okay if Wonder Woman grabs a guy and hypnotizes him into being another dude and rapes him. That's fine. Okay, that's a little weird. But the Transformers, some of these stories involved body swapping as well. Revenge of the Nerds, just suffice to say, Revenge of the Nerds, that scene in the Moon Unit scene, that movie, that was a rape. That's gross. That nerd guy pretending to be the other guy, and she doesn't just like get a rape kit and have him arrested immediately after. Yeah, that's bad. Or the one in Dirty Dancing, or the one the 80s had a lot of those. And the 80s also had abortions. And the whole idea of the girl being pregnant or not pregnant all of a sudden, ooh, shocking. We did that too in this story. But yeah, we wanted to tone down the rhetoric about the previous season with the rapey shockwave after he was defeated. So we did body swapping stuff, gags instead. And it happened, Wonder Woman came along, so we had to spoof that in the story because Wonder Woman did it. And you go on about all the other behind the scenes stuff. But not because Wonder Woman did it though. No. Because we were going to do it first. And they beat us to it. So we were like, no, and now we have to spoof that. Now we have to say, okay, the body swapping thing's not going to work out. So, yeah, the direction of the last 4 episodes or so, kept saying like, okay, they've left, last 7 episodes really. They're going to leave their bodies they've swapped into, robot bodies they've swapped into, and go back to their old bodies and leave them behind and make them their own gang. So we had to do that to kind of spoof the other thing. Also, we did the pregnancy gag. You know, like in the movie Grease. I've mentioned the movie Grease before. The girl is pregnant. There's a girl that's pregnant throughout it. And at the end, she suddenly isn't. She suddenly is, oh, I'm not. It turned out I had my period. Like for 3 months in, it turned out I'm not. No, she had it removed. It's really obvious. It was discussed on several feminist blogs. What was going on in the movie Grease? She had an abortion. That's obvious what happened. She had an abortion. So we sort of spoofed. It's not implicit in the story because it was supposed to be the 50s and you wouldn't say that back then. But in the 80s, Fast Times at Ridgemont High and movies like that, they went there. They said, oh, the guy's going to take that, or Last American Virgin, oh, go to the clinic or whatever. It was like, yeah, that's right in there. Last American Virgin's shitty movie, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High was a cool movie, except for that one gross scene. they didn't show it. They just implied it, like that other thing from the job. They just mentioned it. You're going to go to the clinic. Not going to show it. It's Amy Heckerling. She's not going to do that. She's not going to direct that. It's not going to happen. but Sleeman, no, he's totally going to do it. Also we kept injecting a little bit of politics here and there. Mentioned a capital siege. Mentioned other seizes and riots and stuff, and a gag where one of the Transformers, which happens to be black, remarks that white nationalist supremacists are dumb for wanting him to fight them or something because he's a Transformer, and Transformers don't see color as an issue because they're all different colors. Why would they? What color? This Galvatron's purple. He's gonna believe he'd be offended at Jetfire being white, or vice versa. But yeah, the last 7 of episodes this season, mainly leading up to these last 2, were all connected because they were all part of that whole series. And so I don't care that cat is meowing because I'm just gonna keep going. And we have it coming to an impetus. Robotech, well, we can't actually literally do Robotech. That's why we had a lot of villains show up and not show up and come about. Yeah, couldn't do that. But yeah, it was fun. We did our thing. We could do more stuff later, but there's nothing down the pipe yet. We might. It's not going to be the Sentinels because we basically killed off all the villains. They'd have to fight some new villains. We killed them off or had them not show up because we had 2 episodes, 3 episodes technically, but we considered it 2. 2 episodes, roughly 70 minutes long or so. But we made it 3, so we made it roughly 50 minutes long each. So we have 50 and then 100 and then 130? 150, yeah. An hour and 50 minutes. 50 minutes. So, yeah, an hour and 30 more, yeah. Something like that. Yeah, no, what is that? No, we got 150 minutes, basically. Almost the length of Star Trek Chimera, which we did separate into 3 acts. But this version, we didn't want to separate into 3 acts because we just wanted to tell a story. And get it and have it in the can because people tend to not watch the other acts; they tend to watch the first one. We did have comments related to other appearances, social distances, of course. Which somebody commented, "Oh, it was so much fun doing that cameo there, your show." But yeah, So yeah. Do that again. But yeah, there's... now Kat will discuss other things. Skywarp, of course, and Skywarp is a smart ass, so he's like, And Barricade literally comes out and says, yeah, they tried to get me to do something too, but I didn't. I'm a Decepticon, I don't do that. So then we give to the politics. They kept mentioning the world president. But in these movies, there's always a world president. So I know that there's probably going to be, in the future when we're out at the conventions and we're doing our blogging and someone will no doubt be a smart ass and come in and a jackal. And they'll no doubt be a right winger. Come up and they'll be all offended that we made fun of Donald Trump in the final 3 episodes and got a G.I. Joe that looked a lot like him and called him President Spurs and had him make fun of. Well, initially, that's actually Strawberg, but we had to change him because it's not Strawberg anymore. Strawberg's dead in Transtech. Still canon with Transtech. But yeah, it's clearly supposed to be Trump. But so what? As Mark's card. So I quote Mark's cards. He said, Mark's cards got swore up and down. I said, well, I would swear at the guy. Call him all kinds of, tell him to get lost. so many F words because you're not a fan. I wouldn't be that dramatic, but yeah. Why would you be at a con panel insulted by that anyway? Trump robot. It was funny anyway. Trump robot. All right, so this is so far rambling on about the movies. Yeah, I liked them all. I'm sure we'll do others in the future, but we have to do other things. I'm imagining we're gonna. I was working on that Star Trek story, which is different. Not sure now that looking back on it from weeks ago, whether we should use David Gerrold's script in that Star Trek story, just because, yeah, that's kind of more current. Unlike these stories, where they're really old, and we have to pay royalty. We don't have to pay royalties to anybody because it's not paid. It's not expensive. We probably would have to give permission from David Gerrold, and we don't have that. So, if you're gonna do another Chimera story, let's just write something original and not worry about making it match the Triple Planet story. So, let's not do that. There's got to be something coming up with. It doesn't need to be that story. It could, title only. Yeah. Maybe not even title only because it kind of doesn't make sense. Do something original. Same case with a lot of those other stories. Do something original. I know we haven't really here. We kind of remade all of Trans and Trans 2 and Carta, but like Trans Tech 2 was, and Trans Tech is still canon. Space Bridge is still canon. Robotech: The Endless Circle is still canon. These are different versions of Transformers that came up over the years, so they're all canon. Sure, there'll be something in the future, but we're done now with this, and I see no reason why we should keep. There's other fan stories out there. We're not doing Macross 2 Remember Love or anything like that. Or the Sentinels. Sentinels is too big a thing, I think. Probably we'll do something with the G.I. Joes. They are getting old, though. They're getting long in the tooth. They're going to fall apart. It'll probably be a disaster. We can't really do an adaptation of Starcrackers or Space Vanguards, or what it's called now, or Distant Destinies, Planet Com, or Space Time Eye, or one of those other ones. I can't really do Canary Space and other stuff because of all the aliens that would be involved. How would we do that? Would they just be Transformers? Because that would be cheesy. We can't do that. The Galvatron, Galva Megatron. So let me turn it back to Kelly and see whether there's anything we need to answer. So practical reasons more than moral ones. So is Maxis Carta dead? Draconus Prime is an immortal being. Draconus, he died again. So Maxis Carta, but like Draconus Prime, he is also uplifted, and he's probably on the same level as him because they're probably in the realm somewhere. Realm that's in the other series. Yeah, they weren't technically burying the two gay characters. They're actually bi. As he pointed out, he said bi. He had a girlfriend. She's bi. Ooh, so he was sweet on what? Kitty Key. Oh, was Kitty Key really sweet on Bree? No, that guy was just guessing. He was not sweet on Bree. He was not Mr. Getz. No. He was. The robot was guessing. Well, maybe he was. I don't know. Ooh, and even if Kitty Key was the other guy, anyway. So, I mean, the other guy said, unfortunately, the character in the story died. So, the character is what we're speaking about. The Transformer, not the person. The character, Kitty Key, not the person. Yeah. Werewolf Fuzzy Face. Oh yeah, where did Werewolf Fuzzy Face go?
He's doing something else. You'll find out. We can't give it away. We'll find out. It will be funny. Trust me. Well, yeah. Let's see. Ooh, when will we see Mark's cards again on the set? The set. Well, he gets his next COVID shot on tomorrow, and I get my next COVID shot on May 16th or May 6th, after a Demicon. So, two. So we will see whether after a Demicon 2, we will see whether yeah, and I've already discussed most of Demicon 2 right here tonight. This after party. So I'll have nothing to talk about. At least not about this. I mean, this is done. So yeah, yeah, and then he can return. We probably both can return around middle of May and discuss the year in review. Yeah. Oh, the next one is Oscars. Got nothing really. But Oscars. Just got nothing. I saw some. I mean, the worst movie I saw this year was probably 365 Days. But the worst fantasy movie I've seen this last year was Artemis Fowl. It was really bad. I haven't seen enough of Milan to say that I reviewed it. I've heard all kinds of things about it. I'll probably watch it tonight. Anyway, so, it's probably bad. It's probably terrible. Here, they had it over there. Yeah. But here, anyway, so that's it. That's my behind the scenes finale thingy. We're out. Peace.